Listen, we have a great show lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show, where we are bringing balance to the world one household at a time. And guess who we're doing it with today? We're doing it with none other than Dr. Candace Holmes. How are you, Dr. Candace?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And you were already a joy just having you, a calming presence in the backstage room. So thank you so much for bringing the value that you bring to the world. And everyone, as you're grabbing your virtual seats, I want you to know that you're in for a treat to learn something that may literally push you a little bit out of your comfort zone in the way you currently think about things. But after today, you may really see the benefit of neurofeedback therapy. So we're going to be deep diving into that today. And if you have any questions yourselves, make sure that you go ahead and type them in the comment section. We will do flash rounds where we'll pull your questions and your comments up. And maybe, just maybe, the answers are already right here in the room with Dr. Candace being able to answer some of those for you. Okay. All right. Will you, if you wouldn't mind, in a nutshell, Dr. Candace, in like maybe 30 seconds or less, tell people what we can expect from today's episode with you being our guest.
Absolutely. Most people have heard of neurofeedback therapy, and I'm just here to bring awareness to this drug-free, non-invasive, long-lasting therapy that helps with mental health challenges.
There you have it, everybody, because it's non-invasive and drug-free, a lot of thoughts that surround that. And some people are for it, some people are heavily against it. So we're not here from a controversial perspective, just to educate you on what's worked for her personal journey and her personal backstory. So Dr. Candace Holmes is actually a founder, CEO, natural brain transformation specialist, certified BrainCore practitioner, author, and speaker. She is a transformative wellness coach, as well as being a chiropractor with almost 3 decades of experience. So her journey into neurofeedback therapy began with a very personal incident. And I'm not going to read that because then that takes away from her backstory. And I will let her talk more about her family and different components of her life that brought her to this place where she is today. So I am so grateful to have you, Dr. Candace Holmes, right here on the Kim Jacobs Show.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here.
Well, let's talk.
Thank you. Well, my journey.
Sure. Go ahead, talk. You can go ahead and start talking.
I have two daughters. My eldest daughter was diagnosed with ADHD when she was 7. Their dad and I had already been divorced for 3 years when she was diagnosed, and I was in denial. I'm thinking no one in my family has that. So what are you talking about? Even my sorority sister is the one who diagnosed her, and I was still like, no. Like, this is not that. It's not that.
No, you misdiagnosing this, sweetie. Thank you for being a fan of soror, but in this case, you've overstepped your bounds, right?
Exactly. And she completed about 12 or 15 sessions with her. And even after that, she asked me if I would put her on medication. No. As a chiropractor, we try to avoid medications as often as possible. I've heard some people say, I know you don't believe in medication. Oh, it's not about belief. We know they exist. It's just the goal of keeping it out of our bodies. And so I definitely didn't want to have her start taking medications to dim her light. She has this beautiful light. Oh my gosh, her light is so bright. The Holy Spirit in her is so powerful that she, some people don't understand what to do with it. When she went to college.
I'm glad you said it that way. I said, sweetie, I'm glad you said it that way.
I said, sweetie, I said, your Holy Spirit is so bright. I said, and you've been protected by God, that most people don't understand what that looks like. I said, so that's what they're asking you that question. So they just don't get it. They don't get it. And it's okay. It's not for everybody to get. So then time went on, and then I came to, I asked everyone in my family if, anyone had ADHD. No. And then it occurred to me that my daughters have a father. So they have his genes too. So I contacted his cousin, and she said, well, yeah, it's a great possibility that's on our side of the family. So unfortunately, I was disciplining my daughter when things weren't going well, because I'm like, yeah, I'm Catholic, cafeteria Catholic, and that's how I was reared. It's like, you don't do right, then you have a consequence, and that was a consequence. And I later came to find out that this is not something she could help. So it wasn't until she was about, she was struggling in school so much I didn't think she'd go to college. And I understand it's not for everyone. However, my family, her dad and I are both college graduates. My parents are college graduates. It's not if you're going, it's where you're going. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment. Like, okay, maybe she's not going to go. She was lacking focus and attention. It was taking her 5 hours a night to do homework. She was socially awkward. She was getting bullied in school, emotionally bullied. No one would sit with her at lunchtime. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. And I'm staying up with her till midnight every night trying to help her with homework because she just wasn't getting it. And then when she was around 13 is when I found out about neurofeedback. I was going through one of my chiropractic magazines, and it said drug-free therapy, non-invasive results can last up to 30 years. And I'm like, what is that? And so I called and found out about BrainCore, and I found about one of my former chiropractic professors. And he was trying to find a solution for his nephew who has autism or Asperger's at that time. So it was diagnosed, but it's different now. And you know how you're in school and you have classmates who are just so brilliant, they could teach you the lesson better than the professor or the teacher can.
Right.
That's what he is. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If he found it, there has to be something to it. It must work. And so I invested in the system, started working with my daughter in a program, and she went from struggling in school to earning A's in honors chemistry and physics, from lacking focus and attention to being the most focused in class. I mean, her teacher said that she keeps her peers on task. I was like, whoa. And then off from 5 hours a night to doing homework to 2.5 to 3. And then from the socially awkward part to having no friends, having tons of friends. She tried out for the step team and softball team and made those. And I'm just like, whoa. I'm divorced. And my mother-in-law called me one day and she said, she's just blossomed into herself, hasn't she? I said, yes, she has. I said, thank you, God. Thank you, neurofeedback. Because neurofeedback is the only thing that changed. And then I got to thinking how many other people don't even know this exists, and are just trying to look for another option to not have to put drugs into their bodies or their children's bodies. And that's how I started neurofeedback. I added it to my practice.
Okay, so let's go back for a second, because the neurofeedback, is it a way to describe what that is, so that people have a visual? Should I even look up just a generic image or something? But talk about what neurofeedback is, so that everybody.
Sure. So neurofeedback is a learning modality. It's a sophisticated form of biofeedback. So essentially, think of, let's say, a bowling alley, and we have, as we're sitting here, our brain waves are emitting. They're just out there. There are certain ranges where your brain waves are functioning well, and outside of the range is typically where you're having those symptoms. So like in a bowling alley, it's like putting up bumpers so that your brain waves are contained within the bumpers. And then neurofeedback works to get them straight so that your brain functions well and you're no longer having those symptoms because you're within that range of efficiency. And all you have to do is watch. It's so easy. You're just watching a movie or a television show, and you're connected to a laptop, just like we are here. And when your brain, you're watching something on a streaming device, and when your brain is in the frequency that we're trying to help, you see what you're watching like you regularly would, and you hear it well. When the brain starts going into what we call a dysfunctional pattern, then the screen will fade and the volume goes down. And that's operant conditioning. So a positive and negative reinforcement. So the negative doesn't hurt. The positive is just making sure that you're seeing what you're watching nice and brightly and hearing it well. And you don't have to sit there and concentrate. That's one of the things I love about it. It's easy. If it weren't easy, my daughter wouldn't have done it. She would get upset with me when she was watching a movie and her movie wasn't over in 30 minutes. No, mommy, I want to keep going. I said, no, sweetie, we have to stop. Your brain has to rest, changing. Exactly. Just like you don't work out all day. You work your brain. It's exercise for your brain. You work out for 30 minutes while watching a screen, and then after that time you have to rest your brain so it can. That's the neuroplasticity part of it. The brain knows how to learn things differently, and then you can go back and do another session after about 4 hours. But it's very easy.
So you take a break for about 4 hours, and then you go back and you can do another session after the brain is rest. Is this a good image to show, in your opinion, to kind of give an idea?
It can, sure. Yes, it's the brain mapping is what you're seeing in the top left corner with the looks like wires coming out of the head, but it's actually a cap that you wear, and that's when we record the brain waves to see where you are. It's like a baseline for the therapy, because we don't know if you've improved if we don't have a baseline. So that's the baseline.
Okay, well, I know this is a great
cap that has sensors on it, and then
This is a great image right here.
Yes, we have
Transform
a
your
cap has
brain.
sensors on it, and the brainwaves are recorded.
I think there's a delay. Sorry about
Yes,
that. I
thank
don't
you,
know.
thank you. That's my book that came out last year.
So is there? It might be a slight delay
Okay,
in our
that's all right.
communication,
But yes,
okay. So transform your brain with
sure.
neurofeedback, and this is your latest work. And in this book, which all of you all can get a copy of it. How do people get a copy of the book, Dr. Candace?
Sure, they can go to my website, BrainCoreofDuluth.com. Core like an apple, so BrainCore of Duluth, DULUTH. D as in dog, ULUTH.com.
Okay, and I'm going to put that website up again. That is,
and then it'll say,
and that is BrainCore of Duluth.com. When we take this commercial break, Dr. Candace, if you'll go out and come right back in, I think there's just a little delay. So we'll take a commercial break. And when we do, we're going to come right back. And when we hear from Dr. Candace some more, one of the questions I have for you is, how important was your ADHD journey with your daughter into shaping your overall approach to dealing with brain health and wellness? Because it became a passion of yours at a whole different level, and now it's something that you really specialize in. So I wanted you to really help us connect those dots when we come right back. If you go out and come right back in, okay? We're going to take a commercial break, everyone, and when we return, we're going to talk more with Dr. Candace Holmes about neurofeedback. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the Managing Director of the Charlotte, North Carolina chapter of eWomen Network. I am so excited that you stopped to watch this video. I've got good news for you. You've just discovered an international network of women entrepreneurs who are committed to helping you achieve, succeed, and prosper. We're on a mission here to help 1 million women entrepreneurs each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. Here at eWomen Network, we have a complete success system that supports you every step of the way in building and growing your business. You being here right now is no accident. We're supposed to know about you. We want to meet you to find out how we can help you, as well as learn about what you have to offer. With over 500,000 women connected through 118 chapters across the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, you are never alone. If this is resonating with you, please go to eWomenNetwork.com/Charlotte. Notice too my contact information. I invite you to reach out to me and to check out our upcoming in-person and online events. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to our special community. Everyone, and we are back with Dr. Candace Holmes. Thank you so much, Dr. Candace, for doing that. Make sure you know that you can go to eWomenNetwork.com/Charlotte, and we have some amazing upcoming events happening that we'd love for you to participate in. So we have a summit, as well as a presentation with our networking luncheon that's coming up as well. So if you just visit eWomenNetwork.com/Charlotte, all of the events will be there, and we welcome you. We have our events held right here at the Brownstone Signature Events venue, and that's actually also where we hold our church services for Promise Fellowship. So if you haven't been to Promise Fellowship yet, we encourage you to come and also worship with us on a Sunday at 10 a.m. right at the Brownstone Signature Events venue. So Dr. Candace, talk to us and tell us how critically important that was for your daughter's diagnosis to kind of catapult you almost into part of your destiny.
Absolutely. My daughter used to apologize for having ADHD because, I was a single parent, and, her younger sister is gifted and accelerate. So I'm thankful for that. It's just an all the time job. It doesn't end. Like, I remember their dad came in town one weekend, and my oldest had a project to complete, and I purchased everything that was needed for the project. And I was so happy to just give it away to him to take the pressure off of me. And when we met up after the weekend was over, the project had been completed, and he called me the next day and said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much work it takes. You have to redirect her and explain it 5 times, then come back, redirect her again and explain another 10 times. I said, every day of my life. every day of my life. When you come home, your day is over. When I come home, my second job begins and it doesn't end until midnight. So it's like people don't understand unless they're in it. Even my sorority sister, we had the opportunity to vacation together with her husband and daughter, and the three girls were in the doing sleepover thing, giggling and everything else, and the adults are in the living room, and they each asked me, well, how do you do it? And I'm just like, like you're the psychologist.
Who I am.
Of course you know. But I realized when she goes home, she doesn't have that experience. Like her day is done. Like she gets to rest for however many hours after that. I didn't get that rest. So that's how it totally transformed just our whole family, because you change the life of one person in the family, it affects everybody else. My youngest daughter told me, when Neurofeedback was, when my other daughter was just starting Neurofeedback, probably, a few weeks in, a month in or so, she said, oh my gosh, mommy, you don't yell at her like you used to.
So it helped you too, because you were learning it.
Yeah. And I was frustrated, and now I wasn't frustrated because I didn't have to help her with homework as much. And she was understanding, and just the confidence that she had. She used to not really like school, because who would like school if you're not doing well in it? I love school. And so it was hard for me to see why she didn't like it. And then I like even today, I look back at pictures and I can just look at her face, and poor heart didn't really understand what was going on. Like she wasn't getting it, and so that was the turning point, just to see, beginning to end, just like her baseline brain mapping. And then we did the training sessions in between. And then there's another follow-up brain mappings afterwards. And just to see her progress, like from one to the other objectively, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is why she was struggling. It's like right here in black and white. So the brain mapping is a functional assessment. It's not a diagnostic tool. So when I get it, I can't say, hey, you have ADHD, you have autism, you have, anxiety, depression. I can say, based upon this is where your brain is having some challenges, and this is where it's functioning well. So, let's address those challenges.
That's good. And so what advice would you give? Because there are a lot of parents watching this and will watch it as well, that are doing exactly what was the go-to method for you as a parent, which is, oh, you're going to get this together, because you're not going to misrepresent me, Dr. Candace. Oh, you're not misrepresenting me. I don't know what you have going on, but we're going to get this thing in check.
We're going to handle it.
Yeah, so a lot of parents feel like if they chastise and discipline and it's going to course correct the situation. But in this case, and in many cases, it's just misdiagnosed. So what advice would you give people that are misdiagnosing and mishandling their children in different regards?
The first thing I would do is to give yourself grace. We have a lot, we tend to have a lot of parent guilt when we figure out things aren't as we thought, because times are different from when we grew up. Secondly, when there's a diagnosis, when there's something that seems to be a bit, different from the traditional, then look into it. Just don't put your head in the sand. I'd rather you be proactive than reactive. I mean, from the time she was diagnosed at 7 to 13, honestly, from she was born, I was 36 weeks and 5 days. So if she wasn't hitting those milestones early, I had to hold her back in kindergarten, speech therapy, physical therapy, all those things, that played a part, that, the doctors told me, she would be a little delayed. And I was like, okay, sure, she'll catch up. And it just wasn't happening. And so my advice is to find some kind of method that is effective. I personally stay away from medications. I mean, the only thing they serve a purpose. They serve a purpose, but typically they're just a Band-Aid. They don't get to the root of the issue. And so that's what I love about neurofeedback. It's an objective, scientific way to get to the root of the issue and make those changes, and those changes can last. I just tell people, like, you learned how to ride a bike back when you were 5 years old, something 6, 7. Everybody varies with the age. You can ride a bike now. Like, I can ride a bike now. My center of gravity has changed. I may have a little more weight to my frame, but my brain knows how to ride a bike. It knows how to ride a bike. So that's what I'm talking about, how they can last up to 30, and in some cases 50 years. That's what I mean with that. It's barring any unforeseen circumstance. If you have a traumatic brain injury or concussion, then that's not going to be the case for you, because now your brain has changed. But that's what I would just suggest, just to be proactive and just to try and see what works for you and your family. Not everything works for everybody. Neurofeedback isn't for everybody. I think it is, but right. It may not be your cup of tea. I just know that from my experience and what I've had, it was such a transformational piece of our lives that I added it to my practice. Most people say, oh, you're a chiropractor. How are you working with the brain? Well, most people think chiropractors work with the spine. Well, no, it's actually the nervous system. The spinal cord just happens to be surrounded by bones. And we move that to release the energy to make sure that your nervous system is functioning well. And what's the main part of the nervous system? It's the brain and the spinal cord, right? Well, let's affect the brain. The brain controls everything. So let's go directly to the source and go and flow from there.
And so I know you have your own success story with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Are there some people that, like, because like you said, you're a chiropractor. So when
Mm-hmm.
people are coming to you, they're thinking they're coming to get adjustments and different things, but alignments, whatever. The
Mm-hmm.
point is you're actually offering them something that they never even necessarily even thought when they were coming to start.
Correct. And chiropractic is 15% of my practice now. It has been for almost a decade now. Neurofeedback is 85% of my practice. That's
right.
So the autism. So let's take autism, for example.
Okay.
I've had, so lots of times autistic people on the spectrum have stimming. Stimming occurs when they're overloaded with typically, anxious thoughts. And so I had this one particular young man who had his stims were hand flapping, and he had those about 20 times a day. After working with me in my program, he went to 1 to 2 a month. Now, this young gentleman was nonverbal, and so he communicated that on his letterboard. And it just brought tears to my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, just one symptom, one way to change your life that can just, because I just can't imagine. Just like people who have migraine headaches every day. I'm like, I have a little slight headache, and I'm not a nice person. I'm not nice. I just know it. And you have a migraine every day, and that's your normal, and that's not okay. Like, I had a patient who had migraines, and she came into me. She had them ever since her dad passed away. And I asked her, this is when I was just doing the therapy in my office, because now I have a national practice, so you can do that at home. And I said, well, how are the migraines? She said, oh, those went away. I'm like, when? Like, you think you're gonna tell me? Like, yeah, you're gonna tell me? Like, I didn't know that.
That would be a good testimonial, right?
And she's like, oh yeah, but that's not what I noticed, Doc. She said, what I loved the most is that I didn't realize she was in class. She was taking classes, and she said now she can answer the questions directly after reading. She didn't have to go back and say, what was it that I read? And what are you trying to ask me? And now she was able to complete her homework faster, which helped her to help her sons with their homework, or even just have family time, And I was like, and I call that a positive side effect. Like, you have other things that like you said, course correct or improve that you didn't even think about.
Wow. And so these are great, like, testimonials, and you're like, please tell me when the headaches go away so that I can add that to my practice results. Right. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions, Dr. Candace, about even dealing with neurofeedback, because I know I have children that have diagnoses that I'm hearing some of what you're saying, and I've actually been told about neurofeedback therapy before, but I was like, what? You ain't connecting it? No, you're doing the most. You trying to get into their brain? That sounds like something off of the movie. Mickey, what is that? Mickey 17? Some of the movies out there that you get ready to get and start duplicating my skull. Yeah. So talk about some of the misconceptions.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm not connecting you or your child to a car battery and seeing what happens. Okay, I'm not doing that. We're not shocking anything. I understand that, it can be effective in some cases. That's not what I want to do with my own child. Let me tell you this. I wouldn't do with you or your child what I wouldn't do with my own. So I wasn't going to shock her. So that's the non-invasive part. And I also don't inject any kind of substance into their bloodstream. So that's the also non-invasive. So most people, when they think of a brain, they think of, the pretty colors and the videos and everything with the brain. That's over $1 million piece of equipment that I don't own at this time. So that's not what this is. And I think those are the main misconceptions, that it's going to hurt, that there are side effects. I've had no side effects with the patients that have been under my care. Someone told me some others that they heard, and it wasn't even with the systems that I'm familiar with. Someone had a slight headache. And that wasn't even my patient. So compared to medication, there's a 75% effective in the population. Drugs can't even give you that kind of percentage. So why not try something that's drug free and effective and has percentages that are better than what we've been trained to think is the only way to go?
That's really a great comment, because I was thinking, how does neurofeedback compare to the traditional treatments of ADHD, anxiety, and other brain-related challenges? But you just were saying that the success rate is higher, comparatively speaking.
And what I love it when people come to my office and they're on medication. One of my biggest concerns is to make sure that they're trying to get off the medication, because that's my goal. I would love for your brain to work well and get you off the medication. So when they are on medications, they don't have to stop taking them. That's another misconception. You don't have to stop taking them when you're doing the therapy. Your brain will tell you when it's time. So you'll start experiencing the side effects worse when your brain is changing, which is lovely. So then I could say, hey, go back to the doctor that put you on the drug and say, hey, I'm experiencing these side effects worse. Will you please decrease my dosage? So the goal is to decrease, gone. That's the goal.
And you help monitor that process with
Absolutely. Them. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And I give them a list of all the side effects. My goodness, there's at least 3 pages of side effects that I typically print out for people when we go over their report. And some of them don't even know what they are. They just blindly accept what's offered. And no disrespect to the medical doctors. That's how they were taught. Right, that's how they're just doing what they were taught.
Yeah. Right. Everybody's practicing their craft and whatever their gifting is. And it's nothing that we're saying here is to slight anything that anyone else is doing. Do what works best for you. But the thing that I like, your practice, is it something that nationally people can participate even?
Absolutely. I have a national practice. Correct. So you don't have to live in the state of Georgia to benefit from it. I have equipment that I ship out and I manage your cases remotely. And I have other colleagues that I can send you to get the brain mapping done. So you don't have to fly into Atlanta to get it. Although some people have offered, I'm like, thank you.
I just want to come and have a personal experience with you.
And that's okay. I appreciate that. Thank you for the compliment. And I also have people that are closer to you, so you can, go there and get it. It's like I send people out for blood work. You get the blood work done. I get the results. Same thing with the brain mapping. I send you to get the brain mapping done. The results come to me, and I go over them with you.
That's good. Okay. And do most insurances cover this type of treatment, or no? I just thought I'd ask, and I can see your dimple. You're like, girl,
of course not. Typically, the good stuff isn't covered by insurance. Hyperbaric chambers aren't covered. Neurofeedback isn't covered. All these supplements are. Don't. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Big Pharma would rather have you be a lifetime customer than have a solution to something that would, break into their profit margin. So. It's just the truth.
Okay. Well, and I know Mackenzie, she's going to pop that comment up. The views reflected on the show or that of our guests, and not always that of the show. Or
Only my opinion. Only my opinion.
The funny part is because there are times that I say stuff and I'm like, oh, this is not reflective of the show or CTR Media Network. We stream and we're part of CTR Media Network. We're in 100 countries.
Opinions are totally my own. Do not hold him or anybody else liable. You can contact me directly. I would love to have a conversation.
But we welcome. That's the beautiful part. People have varying opinions, and that's the whole beautiful part of public speaking and the opportunity to share on platforms. And I'm honored to have you share today, especially when I personally have children that have different diagnoses. And I wanted to find out too, how soon, I think I'm turning this into a personal counseling session, but hopefully y'all are getting like a fly on the wall, right? Right. Anyway, I'm wondering how soon after a person would start the treatment for neurofeedback therapy would they start seeing the results? I just wanted to know that.
Sure. So a typical straightforward case, meaning that there are no hormonal issues or imbalances, people typically start seeing results after about 30 sessions are completed. And in my program, that's after about 2 weeks. Now, if you have some underlying challenges with your hormones and things like that, then it can take longer. There's some conditions that it takes the brain longer to make those changes. So like autism, Parkinson's, if you're over 65, if you have learning differences, then the brain can take 2 to 3 to 4 times as long to have those same results as someone who doesn't have those challenges. So it's not a one size fits all. But that's one of the things I also love about neurofeedback is that it's catered to that person. It's, your brain mapping won't look like mine, like my daughter's look like, the next patient's. It's all catered towards you and what your brain mapping calls is the right protocol, is the correct protocol, the right way to address the challenges that person is having.
And is it primarily for pediatric adults? What is it, pediatric or adults or any? Because I would think that this would be great, and you tell me, for even Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff like that. So you give the feedback.
Absolutely. It's interesting you mentioned dementia. I spoke at a symposium last week about neurofeedback and dementia. It's as young as my patients range in age from 5 years old and up. My dementia, it's a great way to prevent, cognitive decline. My dad played football in college and he had multiple concussions. Back then there was no baseline. There were smelling salts, how many fingers, and you're out the door. And he used to say, I have CRS. And I'm like, central respiratory, some connective. I can't remember. I was like, oh, Like I'm not in that generation, so I didn't know that was the vernacular. If you couldn't remember a lot of things. And
Right,
so
right.
we started with him with neurofeedback, and he'll be 87 this year. He's my eldest patient, and his brothers and sisters are jealous. We need to come down there and have her work on our brains. My aunts and uncles are like, we need to come down there. How long do we need to stay so we can get some help? So yes, absolutely. Those are ranges 5 and up.
That's
And
good.
I use it for stress relief. It's not just for those conditions. I use it for decreasing my stresses,
Oh,
and
so
also
it's
for
something like that. So
absolutely.
stress reduction, you can come get neurofeedback therapy or get the equipment shipped to you, deal with stress management issues,
Absolutely.
and then you would get the
Cognition.
results.
Some people have memory challenges. Some people have major tests to take, say like MCATs, the LSATs, the GREs, ACTs, SATs. When it was time for my daughter to take them, like, hey, let's go get some therapy. Let's go make sure we can try to get some scholarships to fray the costs. So it's
wow. Okay. This is very motivating. So why is it that it's like you're not out of practice? I mean, you have to have practices around the country because it's so much. So many people are coming and saying, I need this, I need this, I need this in my family. It's almost, in my opinion, this is what I do for Gabe's Heart Foundation. I believe every household should have defibrillators in their homes. I don't just think you should have them only in public spaces. I think a portable defibrillator could be a life-saving situation. And so we
absolutely.
raise funds for that at Gabe's Heart Foundation. I think that based on what I'm hearing you say, that you've convinced me that neurofeedback therapy, everybody should be reaching out to you saying, hey, I have a child that's diagnosed with autism. I have a child diagnosed with ADHD. I have a child that's struggling to remember things. I have a parent that's struggling to. Why aren't people open-minded to this?
Because again, we've been trained to think that a pill is the way out from birth. It's a pill. Everything's a pill. Everything's a pill, and it's not the case. And neurofeedback has been around for over 60 years.
Yeah.
It's like with chiropractic. Chiropractic had been out for, I think it was about 85 years, if I'm not mistaken, around that range before insurance even, accepted it. And it has no drugs either. It's like, so it's.
So this is a household thing for you and your family. You do it with your own children, your dad, yourself. So
yes.
This is something that you heavily believe in. And it's not anything that's invasive. So there's no tingling, no sensations. It's just literally the brain waves are being monitored and some image is there that allows you the opportunity. Okay. Wow.
It's very easy, very, very easy, very portable, non-invasive. Just like when you're doing the training at home, there are sensors that are placed on different areas of the scalp, depending upon what part of the brain we're working on. And that's it. I mean, I've had, when I was in the office, I had a patient who was in his 60s, and it's so subtle, the changing, the fading. He completed his 3rd session, and he was like, okay, doc, like, when are we going to start training? I said,
you already did it.
That was the 3rd session. He said, well, I thought you said the screen was going to fade. I said, it went completely black 3 times. You didn't see it? He said, no. I was like,
so that's a problem, isn't it?
Because he just watched a movie. He's not thinking or trying to concentrate. He just watched it. So the next time he came in, I set up on a tripod, his camera on a tripod to record his session. And even after that, he didn't see it until he took the phone off and looked at it. He was like, oh. I'm like, okay. Yeah. But kids were used to bug their parents. Are we going to therapy today? To come to my office. Are we going to therapy today? Right. I had one dad said, if he asked me one more time if we're going to therapy today, I'm going to lose it. And I'm like, no, this is good because kids love to come to see me. I'm not a typical doctor, so hey, it's worse things than people who love to come do therapy.
That's really good. And I'm over here. I see on your website, because I'm just looking, and I'd like for people to know when you go to visit BrainCore of Duluth.com, I'm going to show you just at least this home page, because I think it's good when people get a visual. Sometimes people never go to something because they don't know what they're going to expect to see and so forth. So I'm going to pull this up and let you all see this for a second. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your expertise with us today. You've made me feel more comfortable already. So when you visit BrainCore of Duluth.com, and that's right there on the website, you'll see that you get your lifestyle back. And here's some imagery for you. You'll get the opportunity to order a signed copy of the book, Transform Your Brain with Neurofeedback. You also get to learn more about Dr. Candace Holmes as the author and as the practitioner. You're going to see a personalized video from her as well, talking about neuroscience and how that works, how the therapy works. How long is that video? Is it
It's about 3 minutes, I believe. So
Okay.
a little
So
longer than the average attention span, unfortunately, at this time. But it's
okay.
good. It's good.
This is good. Increased focus and concentration, improved comprehension, improved sleep. This is all stuff all of our children need. No
Yes.
side effects, has results that can last up to 30 years.
Yes.
What can say that? Nothing that I've
Nothing.
experienced except for
Nothing.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
I was gonna say only God. Yes, that's
Only
all I know.
God, only God can do it. Okay.
That's all I know.
Wow. Okay. So, any questions you all have, I do want to make sure I give you the opportunity to ask some as well. But one thing that you emphasize too is the natural brain transformation. What does that actually mean, and why is it important? Because I heard you mention that as well.
Sure. So transformation, you think of how a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. Once your brain has changed, it doesn't go back. It doesn't go back to where those patterns and those frequencies weren't functioning well. So now you're forever changed. That's why I love the word transform, because you're totally new in the best possible ways.
That's good. So once this happens, this neurofeedback transformation happens based on all of the testing and things that you do in the imagery, their brain is forever healed, cured, delivered, set free.
Transformed. I can't say the cured and all that other stuff because
Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's just keep it transformed.
It's definitely transformed.
Until God sees fit for anything else that would happen within the brain, but from that component is transformed to a better version of itself. Is that right?
Absolutely. That's a great way to say it.
Let's use that word.
You did it. Absolutely.
So now, with the role of even diet, lifestyle, mindfulness, exercise, stuff like that, how important is that with the brain health in your opinion?
My gosh. When I have a discovery call with people, I typically give them homework. And the homework that I give them is to go outside and get some fresh air, get some vitamin D, put your phone in your pocket or away. Like people say, oh, y'all walking, I listen to a podcast. I said, it's possible it's actually great to be still. Your body's moving, but your brain is still. Like, you have to give it a break. We're inundated with so much information every day. And guess what? It is okay to be still. So the exercising to get your brain active, also get the blood flowing to the brain. We have too many sedentary lifestyle choices now, and we have to get away from that. I mean, I have so many patients who have to take vitamin D because they don't get enough sun. And like especially here in the South, like, the sun is abundant. Like, that's why I live here, because I'm from Detroit originally. Living in Detroit, good Lord, I didn't realize the sun came out in November until I went to school in New Orleans. I'm like, the sun is out. And you just feel better. Like, it's spring here. The sun is out. Like, you see everybody's mood just changes. That's also getting adequate sleep. A lot of us don't sleep well. You have to get at least, it's just 7 hours. It used to be 8 hours. We're happy if you get 7 hours of quality sleep, because sleeping is when all the magic happens. It's when your body refocuses. It's when it recharges, it regenerates. Any read that you can think of, that's what happens while you're sleeping. Those memories that you have, those short-term memories are converted to long-term memories when you get the adequate amount of sleep, and we don't do that. So it's like keeping a computer on forever and never shutting it down. My brother works at a telecommunications company, and he works over systems. And he said, typically I ask the first question, when was the last time the system was shut down? And they go, and they check.
When we opened the office 20 years ago.
Exactly. 385 days or so. And he said, okay, shut it down and restart. And typically, voila, that's everything's great. And then water consumption. We don't drink enough water. I encourage patients to drink alkaline water. Of course, you have to check with your doctor to see if that's great for you. The majority of foods that we eat and drinks that we consume are acidic. And guess what loves acid? Diseases love acidic environments. So let's change that by drinking alkaline water. Let's start from the inside out. My dad is a prostate cancer survivor, two-time prostate cancer survivor. And I've been encouraging him to drink alkaline water. I'm with a company that offers that. You can put regular tap water and get in, and then the alkaline water out, just because of that fact. And even bought him the portable water bottle, and still stop going to the refrigerator, Dad. Like, I said, get the good water, right? So then years went by, and then he came home and he said, my doctor said I should be drinking alkaline water.
You're like, your daughter has been saying that for
the same thing I've been saying for the past 2 years, Daddy. That. Oh, okay. Okay. So that's it. So the water, the sleeping, exercising, just getting out, and just 30 minutes a day, minimum. It's so important. It lifts your mood. It's just so important, and most people don't do it because we're just in the day in, day out. Gotta make the donuts. Time to make the donuts. Well, they have to have a time to rise and to cook. So just give yourself that break. Just that mental break.
So for yourself, what would you say is like one of the biggest lessons you've learned over the 30 years of experiences that you have in wellness and chiropractic care? What's like a lesson that's like, this has been it for me, Kim, right here?
The move it or lose it aspect.
Okay.
You got to keep moving. My dad is 87 and he's in great health, great physical health. And people always ask him, what's the secret? He said, you got to keep moving. I remember when I was growing up in Detroit, we have my block was unique, and it's the city of Detroit, not a suburb. I grew up in Detroit, and our city block had a lot of educators on there. And I remember my dad and I were outside. We were probably playing catch or something because I played softball and basketball through high school. And our neighbor was across the street, Mr. Jones. And he was walking. I was like, hey, Mr. Jones. He's like, hey, and so he's walking, hunched over, really slowly and everything. And so he, went to the house and my dad said, how old do you think he is? And I gave, when you're young, 50, so old,
Right,
and I gave him some number. And he said, he and I are the same age.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is impossible.
He said, keep moving. I'll keep moving. Noted. I will keep
move
moving.
Or lose. Move
That's
it or lose it. Okay.
That's it.
Somebody type that, y'all. These are some good notes.
Like moving water through
this.
Yeah, like moving water through your body. Like get rid of all the waste products. A lot of people aren't sick; they're just dehydrated. If you drink water, you'll feel so much better. My daughter, Mommy, I said, when was the last time you had some water?
Good.
I said, you're not under my roof anymore. Both my daughters are in college. My friends told me.
Let me pull up these daughters that you're referencing. Let me see. Let me find these pictures over here of this beautiful family. I see some family photos back here.
Yeah, so that's my dad. My oldest is to the left. That's my youngest in the middle, and then that's me on the right.
And y'all, you can see too how to stay connected. I'm gonna put that down so you can see the full picture there. Go ahead.
Sure. But just drinking water. It's such a simple thing, and you train a child. So we only had water and cranberry juice in our house, and cranberry juice was the treat. I remember we would go out and I'd maybe get a Sprite or something. I can't even drink Sprite anymore. It's too sugary. It's too it just catches. So trying to stay away from that. Just drinking water is a good way to make sure that your body is functioning well. We just have to get those waste products out and keep nourishing our cells. Like when you wake up, what's the first thing you do is to drink a good amount of water just to revitalize your cells and get those waste products out. It makes a difference. Some people drink coffee in the morning to get their bodies moving. I drink water. Like I get that same effect from drinking water. I said, so just switch over to water and see what that. And water is ever flowing. It comes from your tap. It's like
right. So it never runs out.
Absolutely.
This picture here is of you, and that's your dad?
That's my dad. Yes, that's my dad.
You gotta be kidding me. Do you know that the entire time I was looking at these pictures, I was like, okay. I said, no, Candace, don't have her a sugar daddy. Right?
Oh, no. That's my dad. He said that he's like, they think we're together. I'm like, Daddy, you're my daddy.
I promise you that people would think that's your family. It's your dad.
That's my daddy. Yes, I'm a daddy's girl. And
that means your dad looks so amazing.
Because he takes care of himself. I tell people that's my example. So when I meet someone who's younger than me, he'll be 87 in July. Yes.
Girl, you about to set your dad up. You like, look, Dad. Okay, so I got this one lady. She and her.
We went to homecoming. So my parents met at our alma mater. I'm a legacy for Xavier University of Louisiana.
Okay.
And I was talking to this one lady, and she's like, "Is that your dad?" And I said, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like he's hitting on my dad through me. Yeah, I was like, "Yes," And then, I said, he's a widower, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm a widow." I was like, "Oh, so it's interesting." But yes, it's.
I'm telling you, the Kim Jacobs show getting ready to start to be doing something where we might be hooking some dates up around here. You don't know where somebody gonna find you.
You never know. You never know.
Wait. So then please clarify this, because I'm gonna put you right here front and center so I understand. That means you single?
I am. I'm divorced. I've been divorced for 18 years. Yes.
Now I knew you were divorced, but then when I saw these pictures, I was like,
I said, that's my dad. That's my daddy. No, that's my daddy.
Guy that she's on a date with or whatever. I didn't know. Get out of here. Yeah. Okay, y'all. Okay. So now people are gonna be just trying to get their brain checked just so they can connect. They're gonna be like, I want my brain checked, doctor.
Listen, the brain controls everything. Keep it together. Your life is great. Your life is great.
Oh, okay. So parents that are looking, because I want you to be the front and center of this answer too, but parents that are looking for these alternative methods to really work with their children, what's your message to them?
I sometimes have an issue with the word alternative because it's natural.
It's natural.
It's
Okay.
natural. It's
So let's
natural.
go back. Let's rephrase it. I'm glad you
Sure.
said that. And I love, let me do this for a second. I'm gonna put you back over here. But what I think I love the most about our conversation here is we're able to have an authentic conversation. So you don't have to come onto the show and be like, I'm going to change who I am, change my beliefs. If I don't like alternative, then I'm going to say, do you want to rephrase that question? Because I don't like that wording. And that's a good thing. So
Absolutely.
sometimes when you're in situations like this, people just snow over and kind of go with the flow. I'm a big believer, don't go with the flow if the flow is opposite of what your true belief is. So I don't want to go with the flow. Absolutely. I want to go with the truth.
Absolutely.
And so what is your suggestion and your message to parents that are looking for other solutions? Other solutions. I still said alternative. Okay. So,
natural. More natural solution.
Conditioned in your mind to say something wrong.
Yes,
still
absolutely.
Say it.
And it's habit. It's habit. Again, we've been trained, since.
So you asked the question so I can hear the right way to ask it, because
So what would I tell parents who are looking for a more natural way of addressing conditions that their children have?
Let me ask you that question.
Sure.
What would you tell parents that are looking for a non-traditional way that would be non-invasive and give them an open-minded approach to something that could help the outcome of their family? It could change their generational outcomes of their lives. So now I know that's a good question. Pat yourself, girl. Go.
You're absolutely right. It's just like I mentioned before. You change one person in the family, everybody's lives change. Like I have a lot of parents who are concerned if their children, have some special needs, that when they pass, who's going to take care of the child? They don't necessarily want to have their siblings have to take care, because that's not their child. So it is a real concern. And my goal for all my patients is to be as self-sufficient and independent as possible. So my suggestion is to try those methods that are natural. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. There aren't any side effects. There's only typically benefits. And again, everyone's body is different. Everyone's brain is different. So you may not have the same results. Like my mom, she passed in 2021. Before that, I was like, hey, Mom, let's go take you to a functional medicine doctor, see if you have any parasites or any metals in your system, because she was sickly ever since she retired. And, we went, she's like, oh, it's not covered by insurance. I don't want to. I said, you've been paying insurance all these years.
Right.
And you're still sick. So let's do something different. And so she went, found out she had parasites, found out she had heavy metals in her system, back when you had the metal fillings and everything. And just think about the toxicity that's flowing through your body all the time. My mom was a smoker too. Won't get into that. Okay. And so she started with the supplements. Like, oh, these are expensive. I said, Mom, what's the price that you pay on your health? That's like when I made the investment with the program for my daughter with the system. That's the best investment I ever made, because now she's self-sufficient, independent. She's in college. She's studying to be an environmental chemist. I don't help her with homework. I don't worry about her. I'm like, I've done my job. They're self-sufficient, independent, and that's priceless. I every day I'm like, woo. And that's why I was able to write the book, because I had time. I had time. I was like, woo. I wasn't what? Yes. What? It's life changing. Like I said, if neurofeedback didn't come into my life, I don't know where I would be right now, honestly, because
she was 13. You said your daughter was 13. So that was a long time, in my opinion, of having frustration
every day,
motivation, discipline. Go to your room. You mean to tell me you brought home a D and things that
phone calls from the school,
change the outcome of her life?
Exactly. Phone calls from the school. And then think about her confidence too. Like her sister's gifted an accelerator. Her sister is understanding and thriving, and she's older and she's not. And I remember I had them in Montessori school at one point, and the suggestion was for the youngest to teach the oldest. I'm like, we're not doing that. She already knows something is a little different. I don't need her to think that she's less than because her sister can get it and she can't. I'm like, I'm thinking, what kind of suggestion? And again, people give you suggestions and you take them or leave them. I decided to leave that. I said, no,
right. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing this. Like when my youngest was in pre-K, one of her teachers called her bossy. I said, so what you're saying is that my daughter is a leader.
Right. That's
Because
probably a whole
if
different
she's telling her peers to do something and they do it, then that means she's a leader.
a
That means she,
leader.
yeah,
Right.
that's not bossy. I'm like, you're not going to pigeonhole my daughter into something. My youngest daughter was the MC, the mistress of ceremonies at her kindergarten graduation. Okay, bossy? No,
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 that's
she's a
called
leader.
possible president of the United States coming up soon in the future. So let's
Get it right.
rewind that and put it in its
Get it
right
right.
context.
Yeah,
That's
and I
good.
wasn't going to let her participate because I'm like, kindergarten graduation, like, what's the point? Like, what, you can color? Like, what? I don't know. But, yeah, but I
But
did. She said, no, mommy, I say such and such. I'm like, wait a minute. You say what? I'm like, I got to
you
let you
are a
go.
leader, girl. Get your mind
I got to
ready.
let you go. Yes, yes. So just be open to other things that are non-traditional, that are natural, because it could be the one thing that changes everything.
Yes. Wow. Okay, so what's the main thing you want people to walk away knowing from your book? Because I want people to know how to get your book. Tell them how
Sure,
they can get this book, and
sure.
it's
You
a
can go.
signed, autographed copy. So get the book
Absolutely.
today, y'all.
Yes,
Even if you
yes.
don't, if you never did the neurofeedback therapy, get the book and at least transform your brain to learn how it works.
Absolutely. And reading actual physical books is one of the best ways that you can help your brain. I've used language in there that's easy to understand. You don't have to get a glossary or a medical dictionary to figure things out. I don't. You know, I like to be challenged when I'm reading, but I don't want to feel like I'm dumb. You know, that's the kind of thing. It's like it's a happy medium in there. So yes, you can go to my website, braincoreofduluth.com, to order the signed copy. And what I want to leave people with, parents and adults alike, is there are other ways, other methods of helping with mental health challenges that don't include medication,
That's good.
that are
And
long lasting, that are effective. And I mean, neurofeedback has been used with NASA astronauts. It's used with Navy SEALs. It's used with professional athletes, you know, with their circadian rhythms being all messed up because they travel all the time. So it's out there. And because of technology has improved and systems are more user friendly, I'm able to offer it, just like how computers used to take up rooms, and now it's in a phone. You know, it's the same thing. Because computers have improved and software has improved, I'm able to offer this, and I'm so thankful to do that, because it's the transformations are what I live for. I mean, I had a patient who was having headaches every day for 11 years when he contacted me. His wife is a medical doctor, and you know, she had him go through everything, the neurologist, the MRIs, everything, nothing. And at 11 years, I'm like, okay, you know, you're a candidate. Do you want to begin? He was out of state. And he was like, oh, you know, our son is going to college. I think I want to just, you know, wait, you know, and see what. I said, okay, at some point you have to take care of yourself.
that's right.
So I kept checking up with him, you know, every few months or so. And, you know, I didn't want to bother anybody, but I am the queen of follow up. I will keep following up with you, even if you don't work with me. I still want to know what's going on. You know, I'm a supportive person. That's just, we're here to help each other. And
Right.
so around 2 years or so, he called. I think I hadn't spoken to him in like 6 months or so. And he called and left a message. He was like, look, he said, I'm ready. I'm ready. And I called him. I said, well, what changed? He said, nothing. In these past 2 years, nothing has changed. I'm still where I am, where I talked to you 2 years ago.
Wow.
So then he started with me, and oh my gosh, the transformation. I mean, I explained everything to, you know, he and his wife, and he started with the program, and he was like, oh my gosh, the headaches went away. Instead of every day, he was having, at the time, last time I spoke, about once every like 2.5, 3 months or so. And even then they were very mild. They weren't, you know, heavy on him. And he was able to compete in a national competition for track. He actually won a medal in his weight class. He was already a coach, but he was able to, you know, coach more effectively. And now when he was going on vacations, his family would have to leave him, and he would have to be in a dark room, you know, cold room, when he had the migraines, because he wasn't even able to participate with family vacations. Now he's out enjoying. He said, you know, my marriage has improved. You know, my relationship with my children has improved. You know, I feel great. You know, I'm like,
Whole different person, pretty
whole
much.
different person. And
Transformed person.
just the one thing that changed everything.
And that's good that you said the one thing, because sometimes there's a book I read, and I forget, I think it's by Gary Keller. Anyway, it's called The One Thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the point is, the book, it talks about this one thing. If you just do one thing and focus on that one thing, that can cause a domino effect, and it can change everything. And so this is what this kind of reminds me of. Focusing on what's going on in that one area of your brain that's a challenge, and really trying to work to transform it to something that can change the course of your life.
Absolutely.
And I also know that you're on the board of, what was the Oh yeah, you're
Spectrum
the board
Autism
of
Support Group.
autism spectrum autism support group, right?
Yes, I am, and there are so many resources out there that most people don't know about. That's a diagnosis, unfortunately, that is increasing at an alarming rate. We passed out gift bags yesterday to local elementary and middle schools, and I was talking with an educator, and he was saying I had to hire two special education teachers for to accommodate the amount of autistic people, young and children that are in our program in our school. And I was like, wow, two. It's significant. It's significant. And
And
so
you don't
even
even know that some people don't even know that they have autism. I know in different instances in my own family, it was like the self-diagnosis of I think I need to get checked for this. And I was like, for what is it? So then I go and get the person checked, and sure enough, they literally have been diagnosed with this. Not because they're just trying to force diagnosis on them, but they are in the spectrum.
yes, and that's why it's called a spectrum, because there's such a wide range. The saying goes, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism.
That's interesting. When you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism. Wow.
Yes.
I love that. And I think for me anyway, in our family, when we learned of some of these things, the diagnosis of that, it was like almost like finally the mask could be removed.
Yes.
And I was like, why are you different now? Before we found this out, you weren't like that. It was like, no, that's because I was trying my best to be what somebody wanted me to be.
Try to mask it. Absolutely. And think about how much energy and effort it takes to try to mask who you are. You know, and that's I'm so thankful now, especially in our culture, that people are talking more about mental health. Mental health is just as important as physical health. Honestly, I think it's a bit better because your mind controls everything. You know, so keeping a positive attitude, you know, knowing that there are solutions out there, knowing that there's something that you can do just as simple as reading a book, you know, taking a walk, drinking water, sleeping well. These are things that are so basic but so forgotten, in our fast-paced world. So it's important to just go back to basics.
Thank you for this. I saw some comments. I don't want to go off without acknowledging Emilio. I see you. You're saying blessings, family. So glad that you tuned in today. I see a comment from Dennis. Dennis, so glad. Much love to you as well. I realized that on the Kim Jacobs show, when I was looking at the evaluation and the analytics, it was actually 55% men watching the Kim Jacobs show. I was like, I didn't know that. I was like, okay, I didn't even know y'all were watching like that. But let me give you all an opportunity too to be able to partner with us. We appreciate everyone that pours into being a part of the Kim Jacobs Show experience. And so this is the only way we're able to bring balance to your home is through community contributions. So thank you for those that I've seen some people doing the super chats on YouTube where your comment gets pushed up, and some of you are doing membership programs with us. But if you want to Zelle, you can Zelle to 704-962-7161. And this is for my audio podcast listeners over there. And then also for Venmo is at the Kim Jacobs Show. PayPal, some people use PayPal. It's paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. And then you can use whatever credit card or whatever you choose to use. I see you, Mother Patricia Lofton. Thank you so much for watching. I see you, Dennis. I see all of you all that, Dr. Tina J. Ramsey with CTR Media Network. Mayosha, I see you. Dr. Eleanor, I see you. And all of you over there on Instagram as well. Thank you all. I see you, Molly. I see you, Jen. I see Hot Shot Pops, all of y'all, all of you guys. Thank you for tuning in today here on the Kim Jacobs Show. If I didn't say your name, just know that I love you and I appreciate you. And I'm honored that you tune in each weekday here on the Kim Jacobs Show. What's any closing comment that you would have, Dr. Candace? You have been tremendous, enlightening joy today here on the program.
Well, first of all, again, I want to thank you again for allowing me to share, you know, what I've learned over, you know, all these years. The last thought I just want you to leave with is just be open-minded and just consider natural methods. It could be, again, the one thing that changes everything.
Be open-minded and consider these natural methods. And I do see this picture here. I have to put it up because this right here, like I would say 5'7" for Newport News. So what is your thing here?
I went to Detroit. My youngest daughter plays softball at Michigan State. It's her second year, and she's doing phenomenally well. And so I got to take them to Detroit at this age, at 19 and 21, because they lived there for a short while, but they didn't see everything. So I showed them how Canada is right across from the river, and this is where I grew up, and this is what I experienced. So I saw that in one of my favorite restaurants, and I was like, "Ooh, take a picture," because I haven't, it's been a while since I've been home. So it felt good.
That's so awesome. And as you can see in this beautiful family photo, you have a single, divorced woman, Dr. Candace Holmes. So when you go get your brain kit, don't be trying to trick her out just because you're trying to date her now. Don't just get your brain right, okay?
Brain right, absolutely.
Then you
absolutely.
see her widowed father, who is also technically single, right there in the middle. Mm-hmm. And then your two daughters. Which one is the one that we've been referencing today?
With the black hat on, Corinne with the glasses. Yes.
Corinne, congratulations on just being able to be the vessel that God created you to be, to withstand some of the things that you've had to endure yourself. And even coming on and talking about your own journey, when people do misunderstand you, you're always welcome to come on the Kim Jacobs Show for that. And then tell us the name of your other daughter there with the Spartans
on. That's Kendall.
Hi, Kendall. Okay, Kendall, and thank you for being such a supportive sister and for recognizing the differences when you did start to see some of the transformation that happened to bring better outcomes for your family. So kudos to you too, Kendall. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. We will see you again Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. where we bring balance to the world, one household at a time. Thank you, Mackenzie, backstage. Take it away. Take care, Dr. Candace, and love you guys. Love you all. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you and make it a great day.